Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's preview, as the Dragons welcome Edinburgh tonight in the third fixture of the URC this weekend. Obviously, no South African fixtures this weekend, but a game which should be quite interesting. And I think that if we're looking at the sides, they're probably both not at their strongest. A couple of international stuff like that are still taking a while to get back. But for the Dragons, a couple of very big names included in their side, as well as for Edinburgh as well. Edinburgh, definitely a couple of Argentina internationals and quite a few Argentina players actually playing across the URC, which is very good to see because, especially from a South African point of view, it's nice to be able to sort of see players you will be seeing in the Rugby Championship. And I also think as a global brand, when it comes to the URC, you want to be able to sort of see as many sort of the best players in the world. And you want to be able to see a bit of if it's supposed to be a global competition, it's supposed to be, that's the whole kind of appeal to it. It's Northern Hemisphere, it's Southern Hemisphere, it's across, so many different nations, stuff like that. And then it's important, therefore, to have so many different sort of players from across the different nations so we can, start to learn about best players. So when it comes to, international games, stuff like that, we can sit there and know a lot of the players playing across the world, stuff like that. But before we look at the team and so the results that these sides have had, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. We are over 10,000 subscribers, which is very exciting now. So that I don't know what the next target is, but we'll just keep trying to grow the channel. You never know, maybe sort of 15k, 20k, and we'll just sort of start ticking them off. But it's been a very exciting year, and now a little bit of URC action just to sort of start to finish things off as we kind of wind down and sort of gear up for what will hopefully be a return of action on South African side and stuff like that in the new year. But in terms of the two sides, Edinburgh currently sitting fourth on the table. They've had quite a good start to life in the URC. They started with a 26-22 victory over the Scarlets. They then went down to Edmonton by just 1 point. Over in Italy, they then drew to the Stormers. They beat the Bulls 70 points to 10, and they beat Zebra 17 points to 10 as well. So a nice opportunity for them to try and get a victory over the Dragons, which was sitting way down in 11th. So very much, Edinburgh in theory the favourite side, but they are playing away. If you look at some of the Dragons results, one would argue they might have been played a bit sort of slightly harder teams. They went down to Ospreys in the first weekend, 27 points to 23. They then got edged out by 1 point against Leinster, which is a very impressive showing from the Dragons. They then beat Connacht 35 points to 22 and were then beaten by the Stormers 24 points to 10 before they then lost to Cardiff just by 2 points as well. So, I think 11th is probably quite harsh on the Dragons, who I think have had some very, very good moments across the tournament, but haven't quite been able to sort of get over the line. So, I think it's a case of their results don't really reflect their ability. And as a result, I think this should be a very close game, and in many ways I think Dragons actually, obviously I'd probably back them to win actually, just in terms of what we've seen from them over the season. I think we've seen much better performances than the results would indicate. In terms of the teams for the weekend, a couple of very interesting selections on both sides, and we'll start with the Dragons, who line up like this. So Harry Kelly will captain the side, and the big news is that Taine Basham, who sort of announced himself to the world really during this past international break, he will be starting as well after just signing a new contract earlier this week. But if you go through the side 1 through to 15, we've got Greg Bateman, Taylor Davies, and Chris Coleman in the front row. Quite a few changes from this Dragon side to the last time that they played. In the second row, Ben Carter and Joe Maximi. Then Harry Kelly is joined by Taine Basham and Ollie Griffiths in what is quite an impressive loose trio. And a very exciting halfback pairing, Gonzalo Betrano, the Argentina scrum half. Very big fan of him. I think he's a very nice player and has had some very good games for Argentina this year. After a long international season, it'll be nice for him to try and sort of kind of put the Argentina jersey down a little bit and just focus on playing some good rugby for the Dragons. He is a new signing for this season, and he partners Sam Davies. And then the back three will be Rio Dyer, Jonah Holmes, and Jordan Williams. Quite a lot of continuity there from their last game. The legendary centre Jamie Roberts is partnered with Jack Dixon in the midfield. And then off the bench, Ellis Ship, Josh Reynolds, Leon Brown, Joe Davies, Hugh Taylor, Dan Babos, Anurin Owen, and Jordan Olafella. So it's a decent Dragon side, and I think they just need a bit of momentum at the moment. We've got two more. They've got quite a few games, but you've got 2 games on the bounce, then a bit of a break as teams play European Champions Cup and Challenge Cup and stuff like that, and then they come back on Boxing Day for a nice little Welsh derby against Osprey. So important to try and get some momentum. They've got Edinburgh this weekend, and they've got Glasgow next weekend. So 2 games that won't be easy. But if they can get victories there, they can start sort of patting themselves further up the table. In terms of the side that we're playing tonight, also quite a couple of very interesting players to watch out for. So there's a South African-born front row are two props in Bone Fenter and VPN Nell. They are next to Adam McBurney in the front row. In the second row, Marshall Sykes is joined by Jamie Hodgson. Then Nick Haining, Luke Crosby, and Magnus Bradbury as the loose trio. And then Blair Kinghorn is starting at fly half and partners Ben Velicott, who will be captaining the side at scrum half. And then you've got the two Argentines in that back three, Ramiro Miliano and Emiliano Baffelli. It's Baffelli's debut, actually. I'm very keen to sort of see how he goes. I mean, Baffelli's been such a stalwart for Argentina for a long time, and I think he became a very important player for Edinburgh. It'll be nice to see him settle. Quite a few injuries for Edinburgh. No Jacob involved, no Henry Immelman, no Lewin de Bruin, no Mark Bennett. I think it's Piers Phillips and Gregory Taylor. They've got quite a long list of injuries, and obviously a couple of players who haven't quite come back yet from international duty. The centre pairing will be James Lang and Matt Curry, and then the final man in the back three is Damien Hoyland. Then off the bench, Dave Cherry, Harrison Courtney, Angus Williams, Connor Boyle, Ben Mancaster, Henry Pigos, Charlie Savala, and Cammy Hutchinson. So, yeah, let me know what your score predictions are down in the comments below. Smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We will be live for this game, and I'm hoping it'll sort of live up to what should be quite an interesting game. And I think that we need these games to be good at the end of the day, because we're only going to get 4 URC games this weekend, 4 URC games next weekend because of the no South African teams. As a result, we won't see Munster for a while, we won't see Scarlets for a while, we won't see Zebra for a while. So yeah, let's hope that these games do sort of provide us enough entertainment. We will be live for this game later, so you can come and hang out with us as we take it through it. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching. I'll chat to you soon.